Welcome to Cooking at Nanook Lodge. Today, we're going to make something I remember fondly from my childhood, chicken pot pie. It's a nice winter homey thing to make. When we were little kids, my dad had stomach issues, and so he didn't eat things that were very spicy at all. So Mom always pulled out the Swanson chicken or beef pot pie. You know, those little things you buy in the frozen aluminum foil container. Today, we're going to make something infinitely more delicious than that, but still evokes those childhood memories for me. I'm going to walk through the ingredients that we'll use for the chicken pot pie. We've got celery, onions, and carrots, the three main vegetables for any soup or stew that you start with. We're going to use a little bit of milk to give it some creaminess. Chicken stock, of course. Let's talk about the chicken a little bit. This is, as you can see, is just some chicken chunks in a Ziploc bag. Every time I roast chicken or have leftover chicken breasts or whatever it is, I'll chop it up, put it in a Ziploc bag, throw it in the freezer. Then when I've got enough chicken chunks, it's time to make chicken noodle soup or chicken pot pie or whatever have you. Pie crust, you can make your own, or you can simply just buy these great Pillsbury ones in the refrigerated section at your grocery store. I'm kind of feeling a little bit lazy today, so we're just going to use these. They'll be great for the pot pie. We've got green beans. Peas are really traditional in pot pie. I love them, but Shelly hates peas. So we're going to put some green beans in there, which she'll eat, for a nice little bit of color. Sage, thyme, butter, a couple of bay leaves, some salt, pepper. We'll thicken it and make a little roux with the butter for the flour. And then we're going to scramble the top of an egg. Not really scramble it, I guess. We're going to whisk it and then brush the top of it so it gets nice and golden brown when we're done. For the celery, I stack the ribs up just like this, and then I'm going to just cut them into maybe about 1/4 slices. I think slices add an interesting, different texture and character to the pot pie. If you don't want slices, you can just cut it down the lengthwise and then dice it up so that it matches all the rest of it. I'm going to dice the onion. This onion's pretty big. In fact, I may not use quite all of it. I just trim the ends off, put those off to the side, cut it in half, and then we'll peel it. Once you've got half an oven, now you've got a stable surface to be able to prep that on. I just make incisions almost to the end of the onion, about as wide as I want that. Kind of just like that. Now it's really easy to just work through that. You have dices. When you get to the end, I pick that up, cut it in half, and then just cut it around like that. But half of this large onion is probably enough for this pot pie. For the carrots today, I'm using baby carrots because that's what we had in the drawer in our fridge. You can use whole carrots and dice them up. In the summertime when the garden's going really nice, I've got great carrots that are fun to play with. But this time of year, I had baby carrots because we snack on them as treats as well. So for these, I like to just keep them round. You can sometimes cut 2 or 3 at a time. Baby carrots are really easy because you don't have to peel them or do anything. So it's kind of the easy way out sometimes. For the green beans, we're going to cut these up and put them in at the same time as the carrots and the onions and the celery because these are raw green beans. They haven't been cooked at all. So they need to cook just as long as the carrots and the onions do. If I was going to use peas, I use frozen peas, not canned. They're already par cooked, and so they can go in towards the end. They don't need to cook at all. They just need to get warmed up through with everything else. For these, I just line up a few at a time and cut them into about bite-sized pieces. about an inch long or so. You can pile up as many as you feel comfortable with your knife. You want to cook the veggies until they just start to soften a little bit. Remember, they'll finish cooking in the oven, and you don't want them super mushy when you eat them in the pot pie. Of course, if mushy vegetables are your thing, cook them till they're really soft. I'm just going to stir the flour till it gets all mixed in. I've reduced the heat to medium. You just want the flour to coat the veggies. This is what's going to form the roux for thickening the pot pie. And we're going to let it cook for just another couple minutes. Scrape the bottom of that so the flour doesn't burn. Once it cook for another couple minutes, start to cook some of that flour flavor out of there. Then we're going to slowly add our chicken stock. About a half a can at a time or so. We want to do this so that we have an opportunity to try and eliminate as many lumps from the roux as we can. Having all these veggies in here helps knock out those lumps. You can see we're just now starting to make some gravy. I'm going to unroll the pie dough completely, and then we're just going to push it into the pan like this. It's okay if it buckles a little bit. What you really want to avoid is making sure that we don't have any air holes underneath. So I run my fingers all along the bottom like that, press it in. Now it's ready for the insides. What I like to do is take a slotted spoon and get all the good chunks into the pot first, into the pie tin first. The gravy will come. I want to make sure I get all the chicken and veggies all poured in there, filled really nicely. because that's the heartiness of this meal. Then you kind of work a little bit of the gravy in there. You might have a little left. Throw some rice in there and you got chicken with rice soup in your leftover gravy. Now it's time for the top crust for the pot pie. Just put the top of the pot pie on there, and then you can pinch the edges however you like. I tend to go around and kind of bring the bottom crust to the top and just pinch them together. So now everything's pinched tight. And then the simplest way to make a decorative pie crust is to just use your finger or your thumb and push one into the other. But you can make it however you want. If you like it rustic, you can just crimp it shut and call it good. I'm gonna make just a little bit of decoration with this in and out thumb finger thing. Make it look a little pretty. Now you want to cut 4 or 5 slits in the top of the crust. This is going to allow the steam to escape from the pot pie so that the top crust cooks and doesn't get too soggy. Here's our finished pot pie, just fresh from the oven. I like to let mine sit for about 10 or 15 minutes before I serve it, just so that it just gets a little less soupy when you try to cut it up. It'll never stay in a nice pie wedge like a pie does, but it'll be a little bit less runny if you just let it rest for just a little bit. Thanks for checking in to the Anna Clutch. Enjoy your pot pie dinner.